A lot of time we give trailers shtick for making a film appear to be something that it's not. And we feel like the movie that we went in to see isn't as good as what the trailer made it out to be. This one really undersold the movie in my eyes. I don't know, I just thought that was quite an interesting thing to see for once. Okay, so Tomorrowland. The Tomorrow War. Sorry, yeah, not that George Clooney Disney one, God no. This is an action movie starring Chris Pratt, which I feel like's flown under a lot of people's radars. It came out on Amazon Prime earlier this month, and I really wanted to spend some time talking about it. I saw the trailer a couple of months back and it whelmed me, and I kind of forgot about it since then. Then my brother gave me a text recommending to watch it, and I thought I'd just give it a go. And actually, I bloody like this one. This is, of course, a spoiler-free review, however, there are some things I want to talk about regarding the end of the movie, but I won't do that until the end of this video, and I'll make sure to make it very obvious when you want to click off. But yeah, anyway, the story takes place in a world where 28 years from now, the human race will be wiped out to near extinction by an alien invasion. These future humans go back in time to our present to recruit and draft people from the present timeline to fight in this future war. We follow Chris Pratt as he's forced into this fight into the future. As far as originality goes, I don't really think I've seen any other movies quite like it, and this movie does a fantastic job to throw you in as quick as possible. It's a little over 2 hours, and for the most part I thought the pacing was really good. You get 15 minutes or so of setup time, and then straight after that you're thrown into some really well shot and tense action sequences. Being a straight to Amazon Prime movie, I thought this was going to feel really low budget for the premise they were going for. Safe to say that they shut me up pretty quickly on that one. The film looks incredible, and the design and the execution of the monsters in question are consistently great throughout the whole film. There's a couple of times you see the characters interacting with these monsters / aliens, whatever you want to call them, and not once did the CGI ever take me out of the movie. So I've got to give it credit to the people that made this, because the monsters are pretty fucking sweet. In the loosest possible sense, these creatures reminded me of that movie with Tom Cruise, Edge of Tomorrow. You know, where the tagline was live, die, repeat. In fact, if I had to compare this movie to another film that I've seen before, I think it's the closest to Edge of Tomorrow. It's hard to explain how, but that dystopian, hopeless feeling that you get from watching that Tom Cruise film is very well replicated with this one. But instead of Tom Cruise, we then have Chris Pratt, who plays a bit more of a serious role than what we're used to seeing him in these days. He's also joined by a few other people, not that I necessarily recognise. Yvonne Strahovski, who I don't particularly think I've seen her in anything else, also does a really fantastic job here. She teeters on the line of cheesiness, but when the movie requires her to step up, she delivers. And that beach scene in particular gave her a real good chance to shine out. And the other particular standout for me was Sam Richardson, who kind of plays the comedic relief in this film, albeit it can kind of be out of place a lot of the times. It's a very serious movie, however, every now and then this character interjects in order to break the tension up a little bit. It can feel very misplaced, but at the end of the day, he still managed to make me laugh a little bit. And last but not least, we get J.K. Simmons, who's just a absolute goddamn treasure at this point. I could honestly watch him in anything. And I've got to give the movie credit for its direction that it took this story. Without spoiling anything, I'm surprised the movie went the way that it did with this, but consequently it suffered by having a fourth act. And when I say fourth act, I mean you feel like you've reached the end point of the movie until suddenly a new event happens where they have to go through it, and it just makes that film feel a little bit more bloated than you want it to, even if it is still entertaining. Nearly every Michael Bay movie is a classic example of this. I'd love to see them cut 10 minutes out somewhere in order to make this feel a little less bloated and long-winded, but honestly, I couldn't tell you where they would have to do it from. Every action piece is great, none of the characters are irritating to watch, and it's a really unique premise with a great execution throughout the whole film. And so I want to close off this spoiler-free part of the review by saying I definitely recommend it. If you're a fan of action, a little bit of sci-fi, maybe some sort of alien invasion movies, similarly to Edge of Tomorrow, then I think you're really going to enjoy this one. Right, I'm going to talk about some spoilerish stuff now, so if you want to click off and save yourself, then please feel free to like and subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you next time. For those of you staying, well, here's the warning, but why were they struggling so much to kill that female? I appreciate that they veered away from the whole kill the mothership and the rest of the population die sort of thing like we saw in Avengers, the first one. It was more instead kill the female and they won't be able to repopulate anymore. And a lot of this film centered around trying to design a toxin that can kill off this female alien. I get that it was Muri's plan to give it back to Chris Pratt to take back in time to mass produce, but in the end of the day, they'd captured the female. They said that they couldn't use the toxin they'd created in order to kill it because they needed to save it to mass produce, but doesn't mean that they couldn't just, shove a bag of grenades down its throat and blow it up. It was a little hard to buy that these creatures could so easily take over the world. They all looked fairly vulnerable to bullets if you got them in the right places, and the female looked like it could have been easily nuked. The fourth act of this film is where I feel like they yada-yadaed over a lot to get to their end point. Especially how the fact that Chris Pratt just happened to know or just meet everyone that was necessary in order to figure out this problem. So happened to know a professional in sedimentary rock and a kid that's an expert in volcanoes. And I call absolute bullshit that the government wouldn't act on the information that he presented, especially as he's the one that came back from the future and presented the toxin that could finally kill them all. And then somehow as they're going to Russia, one person manages to steal all of the supply of the mass-produced toxin somehow, as if that wouldn't be the most protected entity in human history. It's only the one thing that can prevent the human race's extinction, and she just stole 12 bags of it. It was a bit choppy to get to the ending, but at the end of the day, we got to see J.K. Simmons in action and Chris Pratt fight an alien with a claw sword thing, and yeah, it was worth it at the end. But yeah, let me know if you've seen The Tomorrow War, what your thoughts on it were. Let me know down in the comments below. If you liked this video, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe, it really does help me out. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews on movies, anime, and video games. Until next time guys, take care. Bye bye.